editing here and using the arm. So if I come around my side gate, try and get a full view here of what's going on. So this spring, or this summer anyway, I just put in some delphinium. The canna are just starting to bloom in the back. And those are the baby foxgloves. As you can see, they are growing. At least I think you can. I don't know. I'm trying with this new tool. Try and show you what's going on, and it's not pivoting to the ground like I want. There we go. I don't know why. Anyway. So the hollyhocks are done. The bee balm back here has got the powdery mildew problem, so not so happy with that. I'll try and pan slowly. And the big old sago and the fire pit where that big pine tree was. Everything out here was just grass and a massive topped pine tree. Don't ask me why they had topped the pine tree, but they had. So this year, with this bed down here, we had just concentrated on bulbs in the fall and let this space open. So in the spring, that alyssum, the border, this black little guy is a juga, and he will spread like he's a ground cover. And he sends up little pale blue blooms. The dianthus was started from seed over the winter. And just a couple of hot pink pops popping up in there. They will take over in the spring. And then this is going to fill out with bee balm. Sorry about that. Bee balm and primrose. So this is Mexican evening primrose, and it is a spreader, but it's that red tipped leaves, so I get some good color on them. I'm going to take out this great big oregano. It's a trailing propagation, so it spreads like mint does. So taking out the main plant, I'll still have oregano in here, but I'll clear out that space. This mint is constantly getting harvested because I use it a lot. I use it in lemonade, in iced tea. I cook with it. I put it in these like lemon bars that are made with strawberry and mint. So super tart strawberry mint deliciousness. The 9-bark Physocarpus is getting to a size that I can live with, but I'm going to have to trim it back and shape it a little bit. This tends to bloom on old wood, so if you can see where the blooms are, way in here, they are on the inside, and all the new growth doesn't have any blooms on it. So that'll bloom next year if I don't trim it, but I'm going to trim it. This year I planted some phlox over here. I planted blue fescue. A couple of annuals that didn't make it. The sedum got transplanted over here. And you can see it's starting to get ready to bloom. The fescue's doing fine. This little walkway, I think, needs to widen just enough so I can get the lawnmower through. But these mounds are actually where the pine tree is slowly breaking down. So these are called hugelkultur mounds. And so they slowly decompose underneath the mound of soil. So this is a fairly acidic bed. So almost everything in it likes higher acid nutrient. So the evergreens for sure, the hydrangea, this maiden spirea, he's fairly happy, but you know, he could probably be moved. He might get moved into the back. The hydrangea is now going off. And like I said, with the install, I took that spirea out. And you can see where the river birch really wants to fill in. Now, he's doing really well this year and did not get attacked by the caterpillars yet. So he's getting quite tall and filling out. And as this fills out, on the outside it blocks the view into my house. And on the inside it creates like a garden room, if you will. So it kind of closes in the space and just has like a little secret garden on the inside. This needs to be weeded, and it's partially weeded on this side. But as I come around the corner, I've gotten, frankly, too lazy. But most of this is actually intentional plants. So this thyme that's coming up, where you see the corks, it's all started from seed. So that'll be a ground cover. The mint I've already started to mow. It just keeps coming back, which is, you know, the point of using it for ground cover. And also it smells good when you hit it with the lawnmower. So this is our little secret garden entrance that you can get through, but as you can see, there's another mound in the back with the 9 bark. Kind of blocks the view. You have to hit just the right angle to be able to see through this wall of vegetation. So, and the bald cypress, which I wasn't sure was happy, I think he looks pretty happy to me. So he's going pretty good. The daisies and the black-eyed Susans are just starting. Just come around here. Hey, look, I found the balance. I can see the ground. Okay, so each year I add a little something to the arch. This year has been willow clippings. And I've gone through and reinforced with a welded wire and steel cable. And now I'm slowly adding more to it so that I can hide that. But then these are the blue picote morning glories coming up. So they're starting to train up the line, whereas the pink in the back there is the sweet pea, and it is now way too hot for him. So most of them have died off. So it's time for these morning glories to go up. And then on the other side, so you can see where the wire is. It almost works like a floral form, so I can weave through the welded wire to reinforce. I've just upset my bluebird because I'm coming up on his house. But yeah, so last couple of days, that's what I've been doing. Taking all the fresh cuts, yard trimmings, and putting them in. What we're looking at here is a volunteer tomato coming up, mixing in. He's just going to town, taking advantage of a perfectly fine trellis. And the rose, this is Gordon's rose, so this is Don Juan, and he's going up. And next couple of years, those canes should get long enough that I can train them up and over the arch. So Don Juan is bright red, full, almost like a tea rose. And over here on McGregor's side, I still need to weed a little more. And I'm just starting to train the Zephyrine Druin, which is a very deep pink, almost old-fashioned style rose. And it will come up from the other side. Back behind, you can start to see what I'm talking about with the garden wall. Like if we look, I can just see the neighbor's car. I'm not sure how the sun's going to hit the lens on this, but you can see how this becomes like a privacy wall. You've got the canna blooming outside the wall. You can't see the canna at all, so nobody knows what's going on back here. In the spring, this is all bulbs that come up, and then I've got little wildflowers coming in there. I can hear the dog squeaking in the background. There's another set of ajuga right here. I don't know if you can see that tiny little blue bloom. But he sends up a spike of little blooms. So they work in shade or sun, and they will stay very, very low to the ground. Lariopie nursery plants going on in there. And all of the clary sage needs to be cut back. It's time for that. I've been sorting the vinca out of one bed and getting the variegated vincas out. I'm really pretty pleased with the color variation on this tree skirt with the hostas and the vinca, a little bit of lilies, all that good stuff. And then trying not to fan too quickly because I'm really good at that. Coming over, I've been concentrating on dry shade for the most part this year. So really working on what I have to offer perennial wise for plants. And so this is my established bed as I'm going through and weeding and pounding in the border, and then I'll go back and have that filled with the Terra Mix, which is mushroom. No. Look at this. It's sneaking under the fence. Just a minute, I'm coming your way. Just a minute. So this section is where she's not allowed to be, because most of this is foxglove and it is terribly poisonous. So, Digitalis purpurea. Most people don't eat it, but puppies are known to eat anything, especially bloodhound puppies. So, she says. Right. Yes, I'm coming. Yes. Hello. Hey, you. Where are you going? So we're just discovering that this is actually possible to have this out. Thank you, follow me. Thank you. So this drainage ditch over here, I now have 2 river birches and a willow. So it's a big curly willow to suck up the water, and I just got a water hibiscus perennial for over there to really kind of deal with that trench that just sits there and frankly rots because the water does not drain down that sewer. It's supposed to, but it doesn't. So over here in the shade on the brand new plantings, we have this little hydrangea. I have another one just like it to go in there. Next hole over will be another hydrangea. This miscanthus grass will go along in the sun. And then back by the cardboard is a cotoneaster. Behind that is a river birch. And we have a brand new 9-bark. See how small they come? So 9-bark with the hardy geranium planted with it, so bright green against that purple. Against the fence line, you have the silver miscanthus, and it has to get reestablished. I just put it in. Silver miscanthus. Next to that is a little garden phlox. Then I have a baby burning bush, another arborvitae, my one and only knockout rose, not because I bought it, but because it had to be transplanted out of a yard. I do not like knockouts at all. That red, I can't see what I'm looking at because of the glare. The red Japanese maple in front of the blue-green Leland cypress. So the Leland cypress will grow about 4 feet a year. So those will fill out and up rather quickly, whereas the maple grows very, very slowly, so that's why he's in the front of the bed, not in the back. So against the fence line is where the arborvitae, which will gain 2 to 3 feet a year. The Leland cypress grows very, very quickly, 4 feet a year. The miscanthus grass will be about 5 feet tall, so this whole fence line will fill in and you won't be able to see out. It'll kind of block the view of the houses and whatnot. So again, another wall of garden room. In the front we have a little red barberry. And then moving on, we have the blue spruce, very, very slow growing. So he'll grow to 50 feet, but he only gains about a foot a year. So it's going to take a long time for him to look like a Christmas tree. But many, many more plants to put in still. More arborvitaes, more miscanthus. So we're going along with the whole back fence. And I'm going to move the butterfly bushes back there that are doing so well, but I'm going to pull them forward. And then we're going to make this a big curve with the Leland cypress, providing the backbone and then filling in with arborvitae. So from this point forward will be basically private screened in yard. But on the other side, behind the cypress, will still be the land of ducks. So then along the fence line, we're just gonna fill in the actual fence line. I'm not worried about height because I have this massive tree to contend with, and I'm not about to cut her. I've been trying to revive her, and she's doing pretty good. So yeah, basically where the sun line is here is where the new trees will be going in, and that will be directly under the drip line of the main tree, so that we're not competing for air or water. And granted, the big tree, the drip line is where it drinks, but it gets a lot of water from me emptying out the duck tub and their bus tubs with water. Just basically there's constantly water going on over there. So it gets fed very well along the duck house. So along the duck house, you can't see what I'm looking at. Duck house with the door back there. I'm not sure where they are. They must be hiding in the house or behind it. Kind of unusual. Anyway, there are multiple entries over there, so I can get around things. But that diagonal, I don't know, it's not an arch, but whatever that is, that was left behind by the previous owner. So I've got fencing going up there, and then I have the Sally Holmes roses. Let's find out where the ducks are. Sally Holmes roses are also climbers. So these little guys, which I just really, they're so pretty. Of course the Japanese beetles love them, but they're only here for a little bit. But yeah, you can see this little bastard trying to eat my rose blossoms. I'll just launch him. Anyway, so I have a temporary here. I'm going to build an arch and connect it to this big one. So the roses will come up and over this space as an entry and fill out this space as a wall. So the two will go in two different directions. And yes, I was right. They're back here hiding. Can't say I blame them because it's rather warm. So yeah, they're back where it's safe and sound. More nursery plants. Compost heap that I constantly have to turn. But that's how we do no-dig gardening. Gotta actually use what you grow. Looks like I've got some tent caterpillars in somebody's mulberry tree. Unfortunately, on my side of the fence. Just making thrilled, but that's where that goes. So, these are my new favorite daylilies I was talking about. Aren't they pretty? They're so perky. I just can't wait for them to fill out so I can, divide them out and share them. All better zinnias. Alright. Definitely starting more of this lemon mint from seed this year. I think I'm going to consider my marigolds to be sacrificial. Just because, yeah. Man, I'll have to let the ducks in here so they can get to the bugs. Don't want to do it just yet. Because I just planted a gazillion. Really, a gazillion's a lot, but about 180, 200 strawberry plants back here in the straw bed. So I'm using the straw, something as a mild topical mulch. But looks like more sunflowers than I thought survived, so I'm starting to get some sunflowers. This is the wild form vegetable garden. It is just volunteers and wildflowers. So lots and lots of tomatoes in there. Got tomatoes coming out my ears this year. Little perennial garden just to attract the bees to the center of the garden, and then it will be all crops for them to pollinate. But yeah, got to give them some food in the way. The shade bed over here is turning into a little more sun as the summer goes on, so some things are going to get transferred out of here, particularly the ferns, which need a lot more moisture than they can get from that tree being over top. He's sucking up all the water from below. But the asparagus looks like it's doing pretty good. More time to be transferred into mats. So anyway, something of a hummingbird friendly little perennial section over here. And then we have our nosy helper over there. That's my assistant. Still not feeling well. I don't know what she's doing. It's not making her feel good, but I haven't caught her doing anything funny. But of course, she gets into everything. Don't ya? Yeah. So maybe I'll get off my lazy butt and set up the pool this year, and then I can sink into it, but I doubt it. Hey ladies, can I have you assist me? Hey ladies, I have a ton of Japanese beetles out here. Would you like to help me? They're back and causing trouble. Would you like to take the day to do some hunting? You know how you like to hunt. They particularly like grabbing all of the go ahead. I like to grab all the worms out of my compost heaps, which doesn't help me, but they do tend to pick off Japanese beetles as they go. So they will tear through my garden and probably uproot some of the strawberries. How did you get in there? What are you doing in there? Well, hello. It's hard to resist a face like that, isn't it? What you doing? Yes? You're on Candy's camera. All right, come on. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you. Would you like to come with me? Come on. Yeah? Picked up a couple of dahlias. Well, they say they're annuals. Pretty sure dahlias are just tubers that you have to pull out and put them back in the ground in the spring. That doesn't make it an annual. It's not right for the right zone. It's amazing to me how many things get labeled as annuals that aren't, and perennials that aren't, and then sold, and people just buy it. Don't bother to look anything up. Which, I mean, how would you know to do that? Anyway, moved the butterfly bush over here from that far fence line. I'm going to do the same with the other two. So this outer curve, like I said, where the drip is, will be butterfly bushes backed up by arborvitae and Leland cypress. So you can kind of see right here, grouping that still needs to be planted. The difference between the two colors, so you get some color differential and some shape differential. The arborvitaes are like spikes, and the Leland cypress become a little more conical, even though they're kind of droopy. But color and form to provide some interest. There's a little golden guy back there. He'll be a little round ball shrub. And then I picked up some more spirea. And almost everything in my garden ends up getting transferred out to a client. So everybody who overwinters here will get transferred somewhere. And then once I've got room, then I go get more, put them in, let them heal over the winter. That's kind of how I do my thing. I have a very helpful dog following me around, and she likes to attack my iris bed, so I've got to do something about that this year. She thinks it's grass. I say it's not. We have an argument, and yeah, I basically lose the battle on that unless I'm actually watching her at all times. So, I'm not doing that.